These symbols, and the knowledge they contain, exist within our psyches from the moment we come into the world. They are called archetypes.
If you've ever taken anthropology, you know that it's a kind of an occupational pleasure of anthropologists to show how exotic other cultures can be, and that there are places out there where supposedly everything is the opposite to the way it is here. But if you instead look at what is common to the world's cultures, you find that there is an enormously rich set of behaviors and emotions and ways of construing the world that can be found in all of the world's 6,000-odd cultures.
Well, for instance, among the Navajo Indians, healing ceremonies were conducted by way of sand paintings, which are mostly mandalas, on the ground. And this idea of sand painting with mandalas appears also in Tibet.
Now, what do you make of that? That in two very different cultures, the same imagery emerges?
Yes. Well, there are only two ways to explain it, and one is by diffusion, that an influence came from there to here, and the other is by separate development. And when you have the idea of separate development, this speaks for certain powers in the psyche which are common to all mankind. Otherwise, you couldn't have, and to the detail, the correspondences can be identified. It's astonishing when one studies these things in depth, the degree to which the agreements go between totally separated cultures. That was Carl Jung's idea, which he calls the archetypes of the collective unconscious.
What do you mean by archetype?
An archetype is a constant form, a basic fundamental form which appears in the works of that person over there and this person over here without connection. And they are expressions of the structure of the human psyche.
Archetypes are as yet undefined structures of knowledge, intrinsic to the human psyche, often termed as complexes. Normal complexes develop through experiences, nurturing or debilitating, which form connecting strands of information that are unconsciously linked. Archetypes, however, are not formed through experience. As a person grows, the unconscious mind begins to apply symbols to the archetypes in order to better communicate the information existing in them to the conscious mind. Since these symbols are common to all cultures and peoples, regardless of environmental circumstances, Jung's discovery led him to conclude that this inborn information was not coincidental, but universal. Humanity was tied together by an unseen but intuitively felt network. He also found that only through individuation, the process of awareness and coming to terms with one's own unconscious, could a person understand this collective unconscious. Ironically, only by being psychologically and spiritually free from the collective could one come to understand and appreciate his connection with the greater whole. In ancient alchemy, this was called microcosm and macrocosm, the whole within the whole. This concept has found a place in almost every religion on earth, but its meaning is often suppressed by collectivists, who recognize it as a threat to the centralization of power. Jung's archetypes are tangible proof that humanity is linked together in a great chain by something we do not fully understand, something timeless and universal, which binds the hearts of men together. The emotional need to understand the collective unconscious is what draws us towards collectivism, far more even than the need for survival. Collectivists attempt to distract people away from this very real and pre-existing connection, causing them to feel isolated and out of balance. They then replace the missing connection with a fabrication of their own design, often a social power structure used to dominate the masses. However, only individuation can allow mankind to truly understand his ties to others and the world around him. Therefore, only a society or collective that promotes man's innate psychological and spiritual individuality can succeed and support humanity indefinitely. A collective of individuals. Throughout history, there have only been a few barely realized collectives of individuals. All have been violently wiped out by men who desire a different kind of collective, in which individuality is reserved for the few. The many are wrapped in the bondage of the blank slate mentality, slaves to their environments. And the one, the source of all wisdom and freedom, no longer exists.
The ideology that will construct our new world, so to speak, is an ideology based on resource management as denoted through the scientific method.
The unification and pacification of the nations and peoples of the earth.
Yes, exactly. You're saying instinct has nothing to do with it. This is
it's imprinting.
We need a world peace upheld by a world government. The leaders of the nations, with the consent of the people, should gather together to abolish war and establish world unity.
There are no actual human instincts, and I have tons of science to back this up.
That education should be universal and compulsory.
John, this is happening everywhere in the world.
We must fight to regain our freedom, or everything is lost. Everything!
Everything is fine. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. Everything is fine.
When anybody preaches disunity, tries to pit one of us against the other, you know that person seeks to rob us of our freedom and destroy our very lives. And we know what to do about it.
Now, gentlemen, no violence, please. Don't move.
That is the secret of American prosperity.